Hello everyone, my name is Moonshine and I am the host of today's AMA with Ario. And this is another interesting project that has been brought to GoldDiggers channel. Through the course of today's AMA, we are going to learn how their blockchain technology enables permanent censorship-resistant data storage and also explore key token utilities and incentives. Also work through their roadmap to see what they have in store in the next few weeks and months to come. So we have Phil on the mic here with us, but Phil, can you still introduce yourself and the team behind Ario?
Hey everyone. Yeah, nice to be here, Moonshine. I can definitely give a little introduction, short intro on myself and ario. Yeah, I'm the founder of the ario network, another app called R-Drive. I've been in this space for, almost this will be my 9th year. Building on decentralized storage networks, and I used to be in this IT, and once I really kind of discovered the power of blockchain and distributed systems, and some of the things that we're working on now, I was really kind of hooked. So it was, I think, in summer of 2020. I kind of quit my career working as an enterprise architect and started building on a network called Arweave, which is a decentralized storage network. I don't know if anyone has heard of that. And I kind of started with this simple mission of getting permanent storage into the hands of everyone. And that's kind of led me down this path where, I was able to take, that enterprise experience and, kind of working in a decentralized ecosystem for years, and put it together in different ways, really to satisfy that mission of just getting it out there. When I discovered it, I compared permanent storage to what I was doing, and it struck me, right. And to be clear, permanent storage is basically a way to store your data for incredibly long periods of time in a secure and protected way. The key thing about it is you just pay to upload that data. And yeah, it's there, immutable and stored on the blockchain. And this network Arweave is just something that kind of grew on me for a while, and I ended up, again, quitting my job and starting an app called R-Drive, which is just a simple Dropbox app that used this technology, this permanent storage. And throughout that journey, we saw an even bigger opportunity of not just making an application, but really an entire access layer to this permanent storage. And that's where RIO, this permanent cloud network, was really born. And yeah, that's more on the infrastructure side that ensures your data, your apps, your digital assets are always online, always verifiable, and never lost, right? Because so much of the outages we see nowadays aren't necessarily the deletion of the data, but the destruction of access, the loss of access. Looking at some of the issues happening across the various hyperscalers like AWS, the outages that are occurring more and more every week. We really need a more resilient, more distributed, and more decentralized solution to really make a better internet for all kinds of users, right? Builders, retail users, enterprises, institutions. It's really something that can apply to so many things. But yeah, I can certainly get into all the details of it, Moonshine.
Definitely. I really appreciate how you gave a background of, how long you've been in this space. It kind of makes the audience more aware of, you tackling your way through the crypto space, because the way it was then is definitely not the way it is now. Times have changed and you have definitely evolved with this kind of project you have been able to build. So I think my first question, because we want to take it one at a time, so it's been at least basics of the project is being understood by everyone. The first question I have is basically you've been able to go through the core mission, but how does the concept of a permanent cloud differs from traditional cloud storage?
Yeah, maybe I can give you a few of the things, a few And maybe let me walk you through a use case, right? You could upload a piece of data and it's timestamped and tamper-proof and secured on a blockchain. And that data could be a file, it could be an app, a page, an index, really any kind of unstructured information. And it's designed to last for 200 plus years. And that's because the cost of storing data is declining year over year. And that's what enabled Arweave, this layer one protocol, to keep that data and persist it over time. Because basically when you upload, you pay a transaction fee. That transaction fee, part of it goes into paying the miners to mine that information onto the chain. And the other part goes into an endowment, a fund, basically, that the protocol itself, the Arweave protocol itself and the nodes manage, not manage, but adhere to and follow. And that basically pays for the duration of that storage over an incredibly long period of time. So it's like the difference between leasing data or leasing something where you maybe pay month over month or year, various increments, versus fully really owning something, owning your data in a sense. You're paying for that block space, and there's various incentives for miners to come along and replicate that data and secure it. The RIO network fits in on top of that and provides a rich layer to not just upload that data, but to access it, to index it, to do various things to really enliven that permanent storage and bring it all together into one place where anyone can come and build all kinds of applications and integrations. So we call it a permanent cloud network because it's kind of like its own cloud network, like AWS or Google, and kind of has all these things beyond just storing data. And to really facilitate the RIO network, that's where there's a token to help incentivize the gateway operators for providing that access and those other services, similar to how there's the Arweave token used to incentivize the base layer one storage network. So yeah, I don't know, that's some of the pieces of how it works. There's certainly a lot of details.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate you breaking down most of how it works, so we can all understand. So now about the subscription part, I know you already mentioned paying once and no subscription model. But when someone hears, oh, we're going to pay just once without any subscriptions, they might be overwhelmed by how much are they actually paying. Is the sum so huge that I don't ever have to pay again, or is this can it be splitted? So I'm really curious to know what's the payment like. Is that something you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could think of the payments in maybe two different ways, right? So there's the base cost of storing data on the network. I think that is around $5. No, around maybe $10, $11 per gigabyte of data. Now, adding other services on top can also add a cost, like if you're assigning a domain name, or let's say you're consuming a lot of bandwidth. Those could have separate fees on top of it that you could pay kind of on demand, or even lease out yearly. Like you can lease a domain name, you don't have to permanently own it. So it really depends on what you want to do with the data and how you use it. But from a pure storage perspective, I mean, I can just look it up real quick. Let's just get the latest price of 1 gig. Yeah, it's around $12, right? And thinking of that cost per gigabyte versus traditional temporary storage, you really have to consider, over time, right? And this is, the cost of keeping that information timestamped and tamper-proof on chain, and securing it and protecting it so it can't be, ransomwared, or it can't be censored. So you're paying that extra cost. Again, kind of like buying something outright versus leasing it for a period of time. You can look at the domain names, for example. I think the cheapest domain name that you could buy for anything that you upload onto the network, I think might be around $10 or $15. We have a separate way to calculate those things, and again, make it really easy for you to use whichever part of the network that you want. It's not like an all or none thing.
Right. Thank you so much for walking us through that. I really appreciate it. So I think the next use case I wanted us to still delve into is the oracles and on-chain data. So we know how critical oracle reliability is and how it can be in DeFi and even in real world events. So can you explain how permanent archiving through ario strengthens oracle data and validity over time?
Yeah. So maybe there's a couple points to mention. So how does it strengthen the data over time? Well, maybe a couple things that relate to that. Storing the data immutably ensures it can't be tampered with, is one key thing for Oracle data. You don't want history to be modified or deliberately altered when it could affect things in DeFi, right? Analytics around it. If issues with downstream data sources could mean cascading liquidations or people losing lots of money, you really want to make sure that data is as protected as possible to avoid the downstream risk of it getting deleted or of the access getting disrupted. I think over the long term, storing Oracle data on a decentralized storage system, right? If the Oracle is claiming to be decentralized or have, incentivized distributed mechanisms, then I feel like you should really be thinking about the long term and the permissionlessness of the system that you're storing the data on, versus keeping it in some centralized location where if you go offline or you go out of business, all of that data is gone. Or you have this burden of storing it or figuring out what to do with the information that various protocols might already be relying on. So to look at a specific user of the network, Redstone Oracles has been backing up part of their various feeds and pricing information to Arweave through ario for years, right? They've been one of the biggest uploaders on the network, and that's again because they want to benefit from the immutability and the long-term storage aspects, and the fact that you can verify that this, in this case Oracle, right, this pricing information was timestamped. You know exactly what had happened, right? And it's on chain and can't be, can't have a downtime associated with it. So yeah, I mean, it might not be the right place for all kinds of Oracle feeds, but I think the ones that are really focused on the long term and the verifiability and the the low total cost of ownership, it's clear that some of the best out there are already leveraging us the network for that.
Nice. I think I really appreciate the perspective you used to answer this question because from the way you sound, it can be used to actually resolve disputes if protected for a very long time. Being careful with the data and all of that. So really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think I don't need to ask that question anymore. So the next question I had wanted to ask was about in terms of the NFTs and assets. So the question I had in mind is, these digital assets, if they are stored permanently on ario instead of temporary servers, how does it make them easier to move, verify, and use across different blockchains and marketplaces over time?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's a really good value proposition that permanent storage has over a lot of the places that we see where NFT, like the data, the image, the JPEG of the NFT are stored. Especially this past weekend, Nifty Gateway announced that they were closing their doors, and they have how many hundreds of thousands of NFTs stored there. They're basically, it's almost kind of a double whammy. The data is stored on Nifty servers, and the token, the NFTs themselves, I guess, were minted out of a Nifty contract, smart contract. So Nifty actually owns all of the NFTs on behalf of their users. So users now have to worry about getting their asset, right, their digital certificate of ownership, the token, and getting the data out, getting the picture, the Beeple, the X copy. A lot of big names were used the platform. So let's say these NFTs were owned by their owners. The data that Nifty's can no longer pay for is going to get removed, or who knows what the actual plan is going to be. But these artists or the collectors are both losing access to their information because of the way it was stored and because of how applications are accessing it. So now when you upload something to ario, you get an ID. That ID is accessible across the hundreds of gateways that are on the network. So if one single gateway goes down, whether it goes offline forever or has a blip or an outage, there are hundreds of other gateways that are there to serve that exact same verifiable content. So as it relates to NFT ownership, using permanent storage for your assets ensures that it stays accessible. It can ensure that the metadata stays resolvable, right? It ensures the artwork itself has a timestamp. That's really important when you're really trying to pinpoint exactly when something was put into the world. And all of this can now be verified. So with using cryptography, that this piece of information is exactly what the owner uploaded. And that's really important now in the age of AI, with a lot of spoofed content or AI generated slop, whatever, that's getting created. And the important thing, I think, especially now with these platforms going offline, is the experience of using all this stuff, right? Like I just said, a lot of technical kind of things, but the experience for using this is really easy, right? This isn't some difficult technology to use, even for the artist or the creator. But yeah, it's just always unfortunate to see certain NFT platforms going offline, or just tokens created in a way where the artist just didn't know that this kind of thing existed, to really ensure their work was always available, right, for generations to come. Imagine buying a painting from someone, and if the artist stops paying the bill for the painting that you bought, it just disappears, right? That's kind of crazy. I always think about that. That'd be really, not great.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think why you guys were actually able to target these certain use cases is because you saw where issues and problems is. And so you guys are building something that could even be better than the existing platforms, what they have to provide. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we've been going on and on about the architecture of the project, the technology aspect, and there's just a lot of questions to ask. But I'd like us to delve into the token utility. So I'm curious to know what the role of ario token is within the ecosystem, and how does it actually incentivize network participation?
So, yeah, so really important question. So the token is the currency of the network. It's a utility token. It's a staking token. So it has like kind of different sides of the utility. Maybe let's start with the more practical end user side. So the ario token is used to purchase network services in a few different ways. One of the more notable ones I mentioned before is purchasing a domain name, which is a uniquely RIO network capability. So it's paid for with the native RIO token. Purchasing a domain name, it depends on how many characters, depends on the price, depends on how long the name is or how long you are leasing it or if you're permanently purchasing it. And it's denominated in RIO. And when users purchase domain names, it similarly to the Arweave network, how the fund's going into an endowment, we call it a protocol balance, but basically you're paying into something that pays all of the gateway operators for providing the resolution, the access, the various services for your name, right? Because your domain name is more than just, a record on the internet, but it can point to your document, your app, your page, your anything, your data set, as well as your wallet's identity, right? Just like you can send tokens to it, et cetera. But you're paying the RIO network for, those services. So on the other side, the supply of gateways are receiving the reward, right? They're receiving the RIO tokens. It's one epoch is 24 hours. So every 24 hours, they're getting a small portion of this protocol balance for providing good services. Gateways need to stake the RIO token in order to join the network, and they're kind of ranked by stake and various other qualities. And once a day, there's what we call the observer and incentive protocol runs, and the gateways kind of monitor one another and do some tests and check the uptime of all the other gateways on the network. And they kind of vote on who should get their share of the reward for that day. So depending on the gateway stake and some other factors, that can determine if you're selected as an observer. And you don't have to just stake and run a gateway. You can also delegate stake to gateways in order to receive portions of the rewards that they get. So we really tried to connect, the end user utility with the incentive. We really wanted to make a balanced system there. And, since mainnet launch in February 2020, and, I don't think these stats are really updated since, I don't think this is from November. But in purchasing RNS names and, if gateways are kicked from the network for not providing good enough services, there's a slashing aspect. But if we look at just those two things, the network has earned around $150,000 in protocol revenue for, the last 10 months or so. So, the economics of the system and the incentive and the token mechanism is working according to our white paper. So it's been really exciting to see that the system is getting actual usage, people actually spending their ario tokens on names and other network services like access. So it's that's kind of how some of the token ecosystem works at a 10,000 foot view.
Great, really great. Thank you so much for us through that. So now going to the partnerships, can you tell us about some partnership that has been formed with Ario, or um, what kind of strategic partnerships are you guys looking to have? What kind of organizations or fellow projects that have same utility to offer? Just whatever. What are you guys looking forward to?
Um, yeah, I mean, we've kind of shifted in different angles when it comes to partnerships. We have what I would say a couple different kinds. We have partners that are more on like go to market, and less so much customer. So we work together at events or co-brand announcements or join various, alliances. We're in for example, like Aether and Fluence, we work with both of them to kind of go to market on various things. Nillion, another kind of encryption secrets management network, is important, right? If you want to protect or make permanent data private, because it is all on a public blockchain, you would use other systems. So Nillion provides a great encryption solution. So we work with some partners for like go to market, but then we also have a lot of customer partners, a lot of various NFT platforms that you brought up before, that we work really close with. They leverage the network for storage and access, like Manifold and Metaplex, Drip. So it's really a system that can be used in any kind of ecosystem, whether you're on the Solana side or Base or Ethereum. Part of the beauty of the ario network and some of the services with it is you can also pay for a domain name or for storage in other cryptocurrencies. You don't need the ario token. There's services that obfuscate that. So you can pay for your storage and your domain in Solana, right? You can pay for your, Base mini app in USDC on Base. There's options to really, meet developers or users where they are in terms of how they want to pay for it. And that could even be with a credit card as well. So like we, have partners that are both, on the customer side that, we keep close, as well as, the go-to-market. I mentioned before maybe a kind of a shift in what organizations we're looking to partner with. That's because, our focus for the last year or so has primarily been on like the Web3, I wouldn't call them insider, but like the Web3 crypto audience and organization, right? Whether NFTs or oracles or gaming platforms, it's primarily been in that ecosystem, in that sphere. And we've tried to make it as easy for someone in that sphere to use and understand and build with. Over the last really couple months, we've now really tried to start broadening what kind of partner, whether customer or go to market, we're really looking at, and now shifting more towards enterprises and institutions. So that could be, companies that are worried their backups are going to get ransomwared, or worried that, their key systems that need really high uptime and disaster recovery are stored in a place that provides that could survive a hyperscaler outage. We're really trying to target those enterprises and the institutions who might be a library or a university or a police department, a government agency that are looking for really long-term verifiable storage of information that can always be relied on and can always be there when anyone needs it, whether it's a human or an AI, right? Like that's the other maybe kind of partnership aspect that we also heavily consider. AI is such a hot thing, right? It has been for a while now. But it's just another maybe vertical, let's call it, where we're really trying to connect with more deeply. And yeah, invite everyone to check out the new ar.io website. We released it last week, and it's again really trying to speak to more that enterprise institution, not so much kind of the the crypto Web3 type partner or user.
Yeah, thank you so much for walking us through that. I think with these partnerships, it helps and adds to credibility of the project. And I think what made me ask this was because on your website I see that you guys stated tested and trusted by the best, and there are a lot of logos of Meta, Awi, Solana, Rarible. So all these are what adds to the credibility of the project, especially because you guys are dealing with data, and people are very sensitive when it comes to these their datas. So that's why I asked that question, like what's the security, how tight are you guys in terms of that? So thanks so much for answering that question. So I think the last question I have is about the roadmap. What are you guys working on in the coming weeks? And okay, I also forgot to ask, on your website I see you guys have 875k active users, and I'm really curious to know how you guys are able to manage this amount of users in the real world. And do you guys have like a customer service? Because sometimes people may have questions they want to ask, issues they want to be resolved. So how do you guys work around that?
Oh yeah, I mean, support is always a really interesting thing when you're in decentralized ecosystems, because there's so many various teams and dependencies that are out of your control, and there's so many different kinds of users, right? And some of them might never say anything. Some of them might be very, very vocal. Some might be really important. Some might not. So that number, 875,000 users, I think that was taken from end of last year. It's basically looking at people who are reading from the gateways, who are accessing data. If we look at people uploading data, I think there's at the end of last year maybe a 3-month average of 40 or 50,000 monthly active uploaders. But you figure the internet, as you look at the internet, most of the time it's spent accessing data, not so much uploading data. Granted, our systems or computers are always uploading stuff. That's kind of temporary, right? There's a lot of that activity, but most of your time isn't spent on the upload side. It's spent on the read side. So we see, hundreds of thousands of users connecting to look at their data, their sites, their apps, and they're connecting through various gateways around the world. So that number was just the gateways that we run. The actual number is even bigger than that, of how many, say, unique readers are looking at the entire network. We do manage some gateways that are really highly scaled out and can provide a really high quality of service for users to access their stuff. So yeah, it's beyond that, and that's how we can scale it, right? Because the network is resilient, so any other gateway can still serve and still do that same level of have its the same capability as any other gateway. So it's I think it's harder to do, meaning harder to kind of have a network do all of the scaling, and not just focus on your own stuff that you can control. But it's really important to meet this need of resiliency and location independence, and going beyond any single vendor or any single gateway operator, node operator, whatever. Go beyond their downtime or issues. It's like you have to do it in this decentralized model. So from a support perspective, we do run some different applications. I mentioned R Drive, which is kind of like a Dropbox type app. So if you're a user of R Drive, we have some support channels for you to go and get help if something goes wrong. If you are looking for a bigger solution or to build something, we have channels for that kind of support. Especially if you're an enterprise or institution, we would really love to chat with you now about our use case and connect you with our sales team and really go down a discovery path and see if it makes sense for you. So you can, we're ready to do really in-depth support like that. And yeah, of course, there's going on Twitter, and we have people who just ask for support there. So we try to meet the user where it makes sense, and yeah, ensure that all the things are working well.
Great. So I think that wraps up this back and forth question from me. I know you might be bored already with my questions, so let's get some questions in from the community. So guys, if you have questions, kindly signify by raising your hands so you can be unmuted. Already we have some questions in the chat, but if you want to speak on live, you can definitely signify by raising your hands. So we have Phil. Phil, your hand have been up for a while. Do you have any question to ask? You have to unmute your mic to speak.
Me? A question
No,
from me?
not
Oh,
you.
sorry.
We
I
have
thought you said Phil.
team member. Name is Phil too. So
Oh, okay.
I
I'm sorry.
let him to ask a question. It's okay. So Phil, go ahead with your question.
Oh, hi. How's everyone doing?
Okay. I don't know what's happening. So let's get
Can you hear me?
let's get some questions from the chat.
I can hear you, Phil.
Right. Am I
I don't know
audible?
what's happening. He's not speaking.
I
I
can
am
Probably.
hear
listening.
Moonshine.
I
Oh,
think
really?
Renari, you can hear me.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Right. So I'm just gonna dive into the question. I really listened to what you said so far, and I really like the fact that you were being honest about your, the whole insight that you gave about ario. And I just wanted to ask, ario is all about permanence, but at the same time, any real infrastructure has to grow and evolve. So when you think like long term, do you like how do you like especially decide what part of the system should be fixed forever or something like that, and what part needs the flexibility to change over time, and as the ecosystem grows, well, who do you believe should ultimately have the authority to make these calls?
Okay. Lots of questions, Phil. Appreciate, though, the curiosity. So maybe to take it from the top, long term, like how do we want it to evolve and grow? I think there's maybe a few things coming to mind, right? We want to, of course, grow our bigger customer base and earn more large scale network revenue. We want to grow the developer base, people building new things, whether that's just uploading your permanent link tree or blog to building more complicated applications like R Drive or the RNS app or anything that you can imagine. And we also want to continue to scale the community, right? We want more people to be aware of this technology. We want more people leveraging it in the wild. So maybe from the core network side, like how do we want it to evolve and grow? Well, we want bigger gateway operators. We want ones who are big enough to want to try to create a business or a company or a new kind of DPIN token model on top of it. We want more gateways, and not necessarily more gateways in a specific region or country. On my Twitter, I think it was last month, I I frequently do some analysis around the distribution and the geographical positioning and redundancy of the network. We can certainly use more nodes in places like Africa, in places like South America, Asia Pacific to a lesser degree. A lot of nodes in Europe, a lot of nodes in the US. So I think we want to grow from kind of a node width, if you call it, not necessarily having more nodes in a specific region. And I think to help with that is we need more demand for the token, right? We need more leverage, more usage of it. So like those are things are kind of growing, users, community, etc. You also asked like, well, what should be fixed, right? So
right.
I think that's another really important piece. We see that from different angles, right? Is it relating to an application? Is it relating to a protocol? Is it relating to the node software? We only have a team our team is only so big, right? So it's constantly having to prioritize what should be looked at. We're really at a point in terms of what should be fixed. We've fleshed out a lot of the issues, and this is maybe a while ago, but we fleshed out a lot of the issues with the node software itself, and making it really easy to set up and having it really well documented, and like those kinds of baseline things. So you can deploy a gateway on a Raspberry Pi. You can deploy it on a really beefy bare metal server. You can deploy it in a cloud somewhere, GCP, AWS. We already made it really flexible and both low and high vertically scalable. So we typically don't have lots of things to fix there. The smart contracts that we leverage also are at a very stable position where we might have small, not bugs, but things to change, like the token logo, for example. We had updated that in our contract. But we have tight governance to control when those things are fixed or improved. And that leads to that last point: who has the authority, right, to do these things? So there's very much a primary development team who works on ario. All the software is open source. There is we have a discussions forum. We have discords. We have community contributors who have done things that we've had grants for, or things that they just did because they wanted to see the system improve. So, authorization is kind of at the smart contract level. We have some governance involved and a multi-sig that, manages core changes to the protocols involved there. But outside of it, that's where there's just more community involvement. And, we really try to have plain communication with our users, whether technical or not, and take their feedback for things, right? Whether they want to do the work because it's open source, or we add it to our cloud map, which you can go to ar.io/cloud map and see like some of the things that we have in store for the future, right? Thinking long-term growth, what new things that we just want to build. We have a whole list of ideas, right? Again, it's harder for us to think about what not to build because it's just so many things that you can do with it. No, I appreciate those questions though, Phil.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I just like the fact that you wanted to dive into Africa as well with other regions as well. It's really amazing that you really need people from Africa also to also involve in this project and engage with it, and it's really amazing. Most people don't really even move to Africa or try to get people from Africa to get the engage with the project, and I really like the fact that you guys are trying to do that, which is amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
thank
it's
you.
really important. We want to be a permanent cloud that's global in every country,
Yes.
every part of the world. That's how you get true resilience and
Exactly.
unlockability.
Exactly. Thank you for this
Welcome.
great question answer. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much for you. Thank you so much for that question. So let's have Nels. Nels asks a question. I'm sorry about the issue I had with my audio not able to hear you. So I thank you for still going ahead with your question. So Nels, you have been unmuted. Kindly ask the question now. Okay, is it just me or can you hear him, Phil?
No, I can't hear him.
Okay, let's give you some few seconds. Nels, we can't hear you. Probably try to leave and rejoin. Probably it's just the same issue I was having earlier. So let's just give it some few seconds for Nelks to ask a question, and if he doesn't come on the mic, I'll probably unmute someone else.
Moonshine, I hope I'm audible. Good evening.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Good evening.
Yeah. Hi,
I need to go ahead.
hi Val. I hope I'm audible. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it r.io or ario, like Watfield called it? The
Oh,
ario.
honestly, whatever you want. We kind of say it. I say it ar.io. That's the website
Uh,
as well. It's like
yeah.
Arweave Internet. But yeah, we said RIO a bunch too. REO. I don't know. Whatever you're most comfortable with.
Yeah, okay. It's quite a good concept. So the idea behind it is quite nice. Because I know when it comes to data policy and data protection, there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm not going to dive into asking you guys about how you're going to do those agency regards to different countries, because I know anybody that is going to go into that will already have the onions and also done some background check and how to pay through different global authorities. But my main question is in regards to you guys mentioned about digital collectibles. And I know that has to do with music, video, NFT, profile, pictures, storage, protection. You have to do with in games and all the stuff. So my question is, are you guys going to be doing some unique addresses to individuals? Let's say, for instance, I want to store some of my collectibles I have, maybe my NFT. I don't want to use any of the what will I call it, the wallet or the chain that I have, and I have some Instagram pictures that are very, very consigned to me that I really need to save. So are you guys going to store that? Are you guys going to design unique addresses, or what are you guys going to do? How are you
Yeah.
guys going about it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of hit on some of the pieces of it from my understanding of the question. But so when you upload your Instagram photos, whether an NFT or not, you'll get an identifier. You'll get a unique address for that upload, for that file. You can access that unique address, transaction ID, on any of the nodes in the RIO network. And now what you can do for your NFTs, let's say it's an Ethereum NFT or Base or Solana, that token, that thing that registers you as the owner that you can trade around to other people, that can live on other chains, but it's pointing to your unique identifier that is accessible through the RIO network. So now what that enables you in your digital art is you can benefit from the common Ethereum or Solana, et cetera, marketplaces and contract minting mechanisms and those ecosystems, but your data is stored securely and preserved indefinitely, and always accessible. So that's why we see, we haven't built a specific NFT contract. Rather, the network provides the services for Manifold and Metaplex and Solana Mobile when they produce their mobile app NFTs, and countless more minting platforms and artists, right? BP, Grammy winning DJ, had a few projects he deployed through ario and had the data stored on Arweave. Really cool things, not just like just some music stems or whatever, but like he built this generative app that's playing music, unique music 24/7, and it's just going perpetually. So really interesting stuff that you could do when you have this concept of it, quote unquote, lives forever, right? And yeah, it's really the platform for NFTs.
It's quite interesting. That's why I'm just really concerned, because something has just come to mind. Because when you do all these things, for instance, someone like me that I listen to music, I store a lot of pictures on my Google Cloud, and I want to do that, and I'm doing it with your platform, and you guys are saying you're not going to charge for it. So how do you make revenue? How do you guys generate revenue from this?
Oh, that's a genius.
If you have close to 100,
Yeah.
looking how it's designed, I know it's something that is scalable, and it's something that
Yep.
people will want to dive into. And let's say, looking at the future, you have more than 1 million subscribers. So how do you generate money, since that this thing is going to take a lot of you guys are going to create a lot of what I call the storage capacity. You have to pay for those things. How will you now generate the income to sustain this?
Really, it's a really good question. It's a really good question. And it's, it requires other services to also generate revenue, right? Storage is such a commodity. I know permanent storage is very unique across the market, but there's a million cloud providers that offer really competitive rates for storing data. Sure, if you look at it over the long term, or if you compare it to the other costs of hosting a website or accessing using bandwidth to a given platform, they add up. But generally, your Google Drive is way cheaper per terabyte than it is to store that information permanently. But it's, getting very different things, and vendor reliance and privacy in some cases. So revenue wise, essentially you can charge, or miners charge to get paid to accept the chain. So there's to accept the transaction. So they're getting paid in Arweave tokens. What the ario network provides on top is kind of like a layer 2 system for uploading data at scale. And that's to support millions of files, per day, tens of millions of files per day and beyond. Those services charge a markup over, let's call it the raw cost of storage, right? So, one of the platforms we're running, it's, I think, 25% more than the raw cost of storage. So that's an amount that the service gets for uploading the data. Now, there's other opportunities for more revenue on top of that, whether it's to provide additional indexing services or access, right? So that's the other key difference. Let's say you're hosting a big video and you have expectations to stream it around the world to millions of users who are going to download this big video. You're going to consume a lot of bandwidth. And, if you're hitting a rate limit on a gateway, they have the right to charge you to consume more bandwidth. So that's, another revenue stream for gateways, kind of selling the access to that data. And that's actually one of the things that we just focused on towards the end of last year. We added X402, which is one of Coinbase's leading payment protocols, to support pay for on-demand high level of access to permanent data. So yeah, there's a few ways to look at the revenue, and I brought up the RNS domain name purchases before. That was another aspect of the network earning revenue. And as a service provider for selling domain names, you could always add a spread on top of that, a margin on top of that as well if you wanted. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. It does answer it to a certain degree, and I really like how you put that in place. So I'm going to give room for other persons to ask. So if I have other questions, I will just go to your platform and shoot that. Thank you very much.
Go. I mean, you or anyone else, you can go to turbo.ar.io. That's kind of like a developer platform. And for any devs out there, you can go to rdrive.ar.io. And that's the Dropbox app I was talking about before. And it's really easy to just mess around with. And you don't have to make an NFT. You can just upload your picture securely and privately. And, files under 100 kilobytes are free. So coming back to your revenue question, that's like opposite of revenue, subsidizing things. So, it's one of the things that we do feel is important, making it really easy for someone to just try it out before really committing bigger amounts of uploads.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We shall do that.
All right. Thank you so much, Nelks. That was some very brilliant question from your end. I really appreciate everyone who came for this AMA. Time is fast spent. I know we got dozens of questions in the comment section, but guys, you can head to follow them on X, follow them on their Telegram account too, because that is where you get updates about the project and ask whatever questions you have, and also on Discord. I think they're also on Discord. So before I close down the VC, I'm so sorry I couldn't take all the questions, but this is as far as we can go. So Phil, I don't know if you have any final words you'd like to give.
No final words. I mean, it was really great to chat with you all. Some really good questions from the community. I really appreciate that. If you or anyone else has any more questions, you can always join our Discord. We have lots of folks there who could help, whether you're a builder or just curious or just trying to use something. And yeah, let's just again encourage everyone to think about what it means to have your access lost and how that could apply to your data, whether it's for your project, your company, your own personal stuff. And put that in context of what a system like this is providing, and appreciate everyone for listening. Reach out if you have any questions, and look forward to seeing some new faces join in the Discord and asking good questions and following us on Twitter. Lots of cool things in store for 2026. So yeah, stay tuned.
All right. Thank you so much. You all have a nice day.
Thanks, Moonshine.